The story of what happened between two Dead by Daylight content creators by the names of Junebug and a former friend of theirs who goes by Selena is a lot more complicated than I think a lot of people realize. It's also extremely messed up throughout, and in this video we will be discussing topics such as emotional and psychological abuse, manipulation, gaslighting, suicide, racism, and homophobia. If you think any of these topics will in any way negatively impact you, then I highly recommend you turn off this video now. But without much further ado, let's get into it. So, the story first started to come to light when Selena uploaded a twitlonger which explained why she no longer was friends with Junebug and exactly what happened during the final few months of their friendship. In this document, she leveled several serious allegations against him and backed up many of her claims with screenshots of their conversations. Now, this document itself is very, very long, but I would encourage you to have a read of it if you want to fully understand Selly's side of this whole situation to help you form your own opinion of everything that's happened. Selly does provide a TLDR at the start of this document, a too long didn't read, which basically sums up everything that she's going to talk about. And it says, I am not friends with June anymore because he faked being in the hospital for 2 weeks, telling me daily that he was dying or has died and that he got multiple operations. Also faked a suicide by unplugging his machines that were keeping him alive, acted like a nurse texting me after he attempted that he was brain dead and needed a miracle. And when I asked why he faked it, he told me it was because he wanted to be loved. I was mourning June every day, crying that I'm losing my best friend at any second to his illness. I was being manipulated in many ways. He said his plan was to kill himself and act like it happened medically. But if that was the case, why would he fake that he was dying daily? Put me through this trauma. For what? He said I drove him to do this because I treated him poorly. And as I said, she does provide evidence for these claims. She provides screenshots of conversations in which June said that he's dying and has died on multiple occasions, and conversations in which he seems to pretend to be other people to further his lie. For example, we have this conversation here where he pretends to be a nurse who is informing Selena of the fact that June attempted to take his own life by shutting off his life support and was now in critical condition. Now, when June recovers and does eventually come back to the phone, he specifically blames Selena and states that she was the reason he tried to take his own life. Now, this behavior is obviously incredibly manipulative and can be summed up as emotional and psychological abuse. Making someone you're supposed to care about think that you're dying, threatening on multiple occasions to take your own life, sometimes even blaming that person for your attempts, and keeping them in that anxious and confused state is disgusting behavior, and no one should ever have to go through something like that. The document then ends with a series of screenshots from June in which he acknowledges that his behavior was unacceptable. He apologizes for his actions, and then he also calls on Selena herself to take accountability for the way that she behaved during their friendship, which we will come back to later on. June also mentions that he is getting professional help for his diagnosis of borderline personality disorder, as well as his depression and his suicidal thoughts. And as I say, this document does include a lot more information and events than what I've covered here. I've tried to sum up everything here as quickly and concisely as possible without losing any of the facts, but if you do want the full story, then I would highly recommend you go and read this document yourself. You should be able to find it easily on Twitter. Now, after posting this document, Selena received a lot of praise for her bravery and a lot of support from different members of the DVD community. But it seemed like not everyone was on her side in this, and this is when a popular Dead by Daylight creator by the name of Swarm enters the conversation. Now, it's no secret to many that June and Swarm have been friends for a few years now, and Selena seemed to comment on the fact that that hadn't changed, despite the fact that all this new information had come to light when she screenshotted and posted to Twitter the fact that she had been banned in Swarm's chat. Unfortunately, I can't find the original tweet. I assume it's been deleted, and I can't remember exactly what it was that Selena wrote in the tweet along with this screenshot. Once it was posted, Swarm himself actually quote retweeted it with a message that basically slammed Selena for what she had said, told her to stop trying to destroy people's careers and to grow up and move on. Obviously, this was not taken very well by several people in the community. People were very quick to point out that defending the actions of your abusive friend and attempting to silence the voice of the victim wasn't really a good look. And for full transparency here, I was one of those people who called out Swarm and defended Selena in this situation. Now, a day or two later, Swarm then posted his own twitlonger addressing the situation between June and Selena and his part in it. He explained why Selena had been banned from his chat and why June had not, why he was continuing to stick by June despite everything, and that he hopes that both of them can find peace and get the help that they need. Now, you can pause here if you want to read this fully. I think it's important to say here that the previous point people were making about sticking by someone who has been proven to be abusive and manipulative still stands. Whether you've been friends with someone for a week, 3 years, 20 years, it shouldn't matter when that person is proven to be problematic. It's about holding people accountable and not supporting their toxic behavior, especially when you're a creator with an online presence and a level of influence. Now, unfortunately for Swarm, about a week later, old tweets of his from between 2017 and 2019 that he had posted started to resurface. In these tweets, Swarm uses the F slur and the N word in multiple instances. On top of this, Selena also claimed that both June and Swarm still use this kind of language to this day in Discord voice chats. Now, no evidence has been provided of this claim, but Selena has made this claim multiple times in different tweets. In response to all of this, Swarm went back and deleted those old tweets and then came forward with another response, which this time looks like it was written on an iPhone Notes app, which was a very interesting choice in this instance. You can pause here to read the full thing if you want to, but he basically apologizes for the words that he's used and the harm that he has caused. He says that he has grown since being that person and will continue to work on growing to become a better person and a better influence in the community. Now, I'm a big believer in action speaking louder than words. And while I do think that this is a good start, I do think that Swarm has a lot to do to make up for it, and he needs to show that he is prepared to put in the work to become a better person. And on that front, only time will tell. But one thing I do want to mention on this is that I think far too many people were too quick to just shit on this apology. Is this the best apology in the world? No. Could it have been better? Probably, yeah. But to be fair, when is any creator apology ever actually good? I mean, recently we saw somebody whip out a ukulele and sing about how the only thing that they groom is their cat. The issue here, in my opinion, is that after people online called out a creator for their problematic behavior and demanded that they acknowledge the hurt that they had caused, they then trashed the creator when they responded in exactly the way that they wanted them to, which was to apologize and to take accountability. I'm not trying to say here that a simple "I'm sorry" excuses anyone for what they've done. And like I said before, actions speak louder than words. But what's the point in calling for someone to take accountability to then just turn around and shit on them for doing exactly that? At that point, we're not giving anyone the chance to grow and evolve into becoming a better person. We're just showing that we're desperate to persecute. If in a few months it's shown that Swarm hasn't changed his behavior and that this apology was just a phone-in to get people off his back, then fine, go for it, shit all over him. But you have to allow people the chance to grow and be better. Otherwise, what's the point in even calling for accountability? Anyway, moving on. So at this point, it seemed pretty clear-cut that June and Swarm were the issues in this situation. And a lot of people online were calling for them to face repercussions for their actions, including, and especially, Selena herself. And during all of these events, Selena had continued to garner support from the community and was continuing to call out June and Swarm for their behavior. But then yesterday, new information came to light that seemed to completely change the narrative. The first that we'll talk about is a twitlonger from a creator who used to be friends with June and had watched the whole June-Selena situation develop firsthand. Now, I'm not going to name this creator just in case, but if you're watching this and you do feel comfortable doing so, please feel free to leave your name in the comments. Now, this person starts out by saying that they didn't initially plan to talk publicly about this whole situation, but, and I quote, "After seeing several people get harassed and attacked over a situation consisting of many lies or omitted information, and knowing full well that a significant amount of information had been left out, has just not sat right with me." Again, this document is extensive and includes a lot of information, so I'm going to try and sum it up as best as I can. The creator says that from the moment Selena started playing Dead by Daylight with their group, she was extremely hostile towards him. She would frequently specifically target and bully him and eventually he stopped being invited to play with them at all. On the few occasions he did get to play with them, he notes that the group would use ableist and homophobic slurs, as well as telling the killers they played against to kill themselves. He actually also posted a clip alongside this document of Selena doing these exact things. Over several months, he noticed that June started to only play with Selena, and that Selena would actually get mad at June if she noticed him playing with anyone except her. He mentions that he spoke to multiple people who were also friends with June, and they all confirmed his suspicions. June's girlfriend then told him that Selena was regularly abusive towards June, especially when they were drunk, and would frequently encourage him to take his own life, as well as saying that he should have been sexually assaulted and should have died in the war. June is a war veteran for context. All of this resulted in June's mental health declining significantly over the time he knew Selena, before June's girlfriend managed to find him professional help. The creator ends the document by saying, "I was with June before he met Selly, and I watched his mental health deteriorate over the course of his relationship with her to the point of attempting suicide on several occasions. I witnessed firsthand the way she attacks and belittles people to make herself feel good. I was on the receiving end of her goal of forcing him to cut off his relationship with everybody that he was close to before her. And now I see her lie about it and manipulate evidence to make herself appear like nothing more than a victim in all of this. I empathize with how horrible it must have felt going through what June put her through at the end, but to pretend like she didn't push him to that point is a blatant disrespect to genuine victims of abusive relationships." Now, obviously in this, there are a lot of shitty things that Selena has been accused of doing, but I wanted to specifically highlight this. I was on the receiving end of her goal of forcing him to cut off his relationship with everybody that he was close to before her. Basically, this is a tactic that abusive people use to maintain control in a relationship. They systematically remove every other support system that the victim has, so that they have no choice but to rely solely on the abuser, giving them the full power over them. Interestingly, this is also something that Selena accuses June of doing in her initial statement. Now, this wasn't the only document released with this accusation against Selena. Before this was posted, another was posted by June's girlfriend. At the start of the document, she addresses Selena specifically, asking why she chose to omit certain details about their relationship and why she didn't mention the fact that Selena was in a sexual relationship with her boyfriend. She goes on to post screenshots of a conversation that she had had with Selena in which she accuses her of being a homewrecker. Selena's response is that she can't be a homewrecker because while she was sexually involved with June, she was not emotionally attracted to him because she cannot get emotionally attracted to men. Following all of this, she writes this paragraph. The screenshots below are graphic, but it is some of what she chose not to tell everyone. She chose not to disclose that she was just as much of an active and willing participant as June rather than a victim. She did not want anything sexual to be posted, yet continued to post screenshots. It is uncomfortable to read. It also shows that she did not want him to play with other people or would try to get him off and play with her. She did isolate him. She was abusive, and this is only a portion of the exchange. Now, I'm not going to show all of these screenshots because they are very graphic at times, but I wanted to show a couple which I think are important to talk about. Now, in this one, we can see that Selena calls June her boyfriend and says that he makes her wet, which by the way is one of the tamest screenshots in this collection. And then in these, we see evidence of Selena's controlling nature and her efforts to ensure that June played with no one else except for her. June's girlfriend ends this document by saying that Selena was just as much of a participant in the relationship as June was, and that she hopes that both parties can heal and better themselves moving forward. Now, the final part of this story that I'm going to be talking about actually happened earlier today. After a brief period last night following all of these documents being released in which Selena's Twitter account was deactivated, she then returned to address the allegations against her. Firstly, she clarified that a person in the video that had been shared was in fact not her, but a close friend of hers. In this video, the person uses multiple slurs, including the N-word, which, when you think about how much Selena persecuted Swarm and June when Swarm's past came up, led to heavy criticism of her actions and her choice of friends. She then addresses the fact that she called June her boyfriend, stating that she did so because June was obsessed with having a title from her, so she did it to make him happy. She then apologized for the ableist and homophobic slurs that she had previously used, believing that these words were hers to reclaim, and then she took full accountability for her actions with June and the way that she had hurt his girlfriend, stating that she is so fucking sorry. I'm very aware that I've just thrown a lot of information at you. And the reason why is because I think in this story it's important that we get as many of the facts in order as possible. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of developments that have come to light, especially in the past few days. And to be honest, I think even more information is going to come out about this in the near future. I've spent hours researching this to try and ensure that I get all of the information as accurate as possible. But if I did present any misinformation in this video, please do feel free to correct me in the comments below. This situation was one that a lot of people wanted me to talk about, and I can understand why. You know, to begin with, you had a creator who was proven to be abusive and manipulative and was still going strong on Twitch and not really facing any repercussions for his actions or facing any consequences. And then you had another creator who defended this person and attempted to silence the victim, and again, faced no real repercussions for these actions. And on top of this, both of those creators were men, and the victim was a woman. When seemingly no one is attempting to hold these men accountable, it does bring into question the impact that a female victim's voice can have in these spaces. So I understand why people wanted me to talk about it, which is why I'm doing it now. But I am glad that I waited until I did. With all of the new information that's come out over the past few days, it's very clear that our previous perception of the narrative needs to change. Now, it's clear that Selena wasn't just a victim of abuse, but was also a perpetrator of it, which I believe is very important to acknowledge in this situation. What Selena did in the early stages of her friendship with June does not in any way excuse or warrant the behavior that June exhibited towards the end of their friendship and the way he treated Selena. That behavior was despicable and toxic, and nothing will change that fact. And it's important that we hold June accountable for that behavior. But at the same time, it's important that we hold Selena accountable for her actions. She also exhibited manipulative and abusive behavior towards June and is in no way innocent in all of this mess. Neither of them are. So, where do we go from here? I've seen people online persecuting June for his actions, and if that's what you choose to do with this information, then go for it. That's your choice. But if you are persecuting June, then in my opinion, you should also be persecuting Selena, and vice versa. Blindly following the word of either one of these creators and ignoring all evidence to the contrary is extremely dangerous. And I'm seeing far too many people online doing exactly that. Now, June, Swarm, and Selena all appear to be trying to take accountability for their actions and have apologized for the majority of their behavior. I think moving forward, it's up to them to show that they have learned from their actions and that they will grow as a result. Whether or not you choose to continue to support any of these people is ultimately your choice. No one can force you to do or not to do anything. And I would encourage you to continue to do your research on this topic, besides just watching this video, before making your decision. All of the information that I've referenced and shown in this video is still online. You should be able to find it with a little bit of looking. In terms of my opinion on the situation, for what it's worth, I will not personally be supporting any of these three creators. I think the behavior shown from all of them has been disgusting, vile, toxic, and immature in many places, and I think they have a lot of work to do before I would personally feel safe around them or in their spaces. But of course, any growth or work on their part should be done for the sake of themselves, not the sake of random people like me on the internet. Now, as always, feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I want to thank you for watching this video and supporting the channel. It means the world. And go show some love, especially on Dead by Daylight Twitter. I think everyone on there really needs it right now. And of course, go out there and be the best damn crunks that you can be. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time.
So let me break it all down for you. I ain't never giving up, I ain't never giving up. I'm taking that crown from you.